All right, welcome. Today we're going to be cooking up something pretty important. We're diving into the fundamental recipe for, well, literally everything that gets made in our world. We're talking about the core economic resources that build our society from the ground up. So, let's get into it.
Just think about the phone you're probably holding or that's in your pocket. It's not just some glass and metal, right? No way. It is the result of a massively complex recipe. It needed minerals dug from the earth, thousands of hours of human work, super specific machinery, and, of course, a big idea to pull it all together. And that, right there, is where our story really begins.
You see, the most basic truth in all of economics is this. We, as humans, have pretty much unlimited wants, but we live on a planet with very limited or finite resources. And that gap, that's scarcity. And because we can't have absolutely everything we want, we're forced to make choices. We have to figure out the best possible recipe to create the things we both need and want.
And that's exactly what economists call these core building blocks, the factors of production. You should really think of them as the only 4 ingredients humanity has to work with to create every single good and service out there. So what are they? Let's break down this recipe, one ingredient at a time.
Okay, our first ingredient is the foundation for everything, land. And believe me, it's a whole lot more than just the dirt under our feet.
So when an economist talks about land, what they really mean is every natural resource you can possibly think of. The water in our rivers, the oil deep underground, the forests, the minerals, you name it. These are the raw, unprocessed materials we have to start with. Without them, there's no recipe, period.
Now, land has some pretty unique properties. First, its supply is fixed. We can't just create another continent, right? It's also immobile. You can't just pick up an oil field in one country and move it to another. And really important, it's what we call a passive factor. A forest or a deposit of iron ore doesn't really do anything on its own. It needs the other ingredients to become useful.
And when someone owns this factor and they let someone else use it, the payment they get in return, that's called rent. Simple as that.
All right, let's move on to our second ingredient. This is the one that brings the human touch to our recipe. We're talking about labor.
Labor is all the human effort. We're talking both physical and mental that goes into producing something. It's the person on the assembly line, the software coder staring at a screen, the doctor performing a surgery, the teacher in a classroom. It's the actual chef's work that takes those raw ingredients and starts turning them into something new.
Now, labor has this really fascinating kind of tragic characteristic. It's perishable. Think about it. A day of work that isn't used is just lost forever. You can't save it in a bottle for later. Unlike a raw material, time spent not working is just gone. It's also incredibly varied, or heterogeneous, since, of course, everyone's skills are totally different.
So, what's the payment for all this human effort? Well, that's what we call wages or salaries. It's what you get for putting your time and your skill into the production process.
On to ingredient number 3, capital. Now this one is a big deal, and honestly, it's where a lot of people get kind of mixed up. So let's make this super clear.
Capital refers to all the man-made tools that help us produce other things more efficiently. It's the hammer, the factory, the delivery truck, the computer. In our recipe metaphor, this is not an ingredient you actually eat. It's the oven, the mixing bowls, and the knives. It's all the equipment.
And this right here is probably the most important distinction we're going to make today. When economists say capital with a capital C, they mean physical, productive things, the tools. They do not mean financial capital like money or stocks. Think about it. Money can't build a car, but a robotic arm in a factory can. That arm, that is capital.
So unlike land, capital is man-made. Its entire purpose is to make us more productive. But just like the tools in your garage, it also depreciates. It wears out, gets old, or just becomes obsolete over time. And that's a huge challenge for any business.
And the payment for providing or lending out this capital, for letting someone use your factory or your fancy machinery, is known as interest.
So, we've got our raw materials, we've got our chef, and we've got our kitchen tools. But something's still missing, isn't it? We need the head chef, the visionary who came up with the whole recipe in the first place. This is our final and maybe most important ingredient, entrepreneurship.
Entrepreneurship is that special human spark. It's the skill of seeing an opportunity, of combining land, labor, and capital in a totally new way. And, this is crucial, being willing to take the massive risk that the whole thing might just fail. This is the person who innovates the crazy idea for a smartphone. They're the one who organizes the mines to get the minerals, the factories for the assembly, And the engineers for the design. They put everything on the line, just hoping their recipe is going to be a hit.
And if that risk pays off, well, the reward for successfully organizing all the other ingredients and creating something people actually want is profit. It's the ultimate prize for taking that chance.
So there you have it, the 4 essential ingredients that form the basis of all economic activity. Let's just put it all together one last time.
This table is basically your ultimate cheat sheet. Land, our natural resources, earns rent. Labor, the human effort, earns wages. Capital, our man-made tools, earns interest. And entrepreneurship, the risk-taking and organization, earns profit. That's the whole system right there.
So just remember that everything, and I mean everything, from a simple cup of coffee to the most complex spaceship, is just a different combination of these 4 factors. Every single business and every economy is in a constant battle, trying to find the absolute perfect recipe to use our scarce resources in the most valuable way.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In a world with AI and increasing automation, technology that's changing what labor and capital even mean, which of these 4 ingredients do you think will become the most critical for success in the future? Is it always going to be the innovator, or could something else take its place? Something to think about.